Hey Sharon, how are you doing? I'm just going to unmute you. Hello? Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Is that better?
That's better, much better.
I fiddled about with it so that I could get myself eye level with the camera, so.
Perfect. That looks good. I would step back a bit because you're kind of like your full face
Right,
is
okay.
in the camera.
Hang on.
Here comes Iona. And Mel. Good morning, good afternoon. Hi Iona, hi Mel.
I don't know how where the last few minutes went. I suddenly went, oh my goodness, I'm like still in my crappy t-shirt and hair going on.
Oh, very nice. I like your hair.
Gorgeous. Bloody hell, what a transformation.
And your background, Finn.
Better, eh?
Oh,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I just realized I changed my flowers and now they blend into my arm. But
Into the brand.
they're pink, which is sort of a shade of red, I suppose. They're not very well organized, actually. But hey ho.
All right, so I rudely interrupted you when you were introducing each other to each other. So Sharon, we got the intro from you. Iona, you want to introduce yourself?
okay. I'm Iona. I'm an author, life coach, hypnotherapist, meditation guide, and my book is actually a lot about my journey, and I've got 3 books in the pipeline. And yeah, I didn't think I'd be calling myself an author even a year and a half ago. So that's probably a story I'll share in here. And really, I want to help everybody follow their passion. I think we're in the perfect time for the paradigm shift, where people are realizing that they're not happy, not fulfilled, something's missing. And usually the only thing missing is themselves. So I really help people come back to that, whether it's business, spiritually. It's about aligning everything, mind, body, and spirit. So I kind of go in whichever direction. So that's the quick summary, knowing we've got like 4 minutes.
I think I need you, Iona. Do you want me to introduce myself or not?
Go for it, yep.
We're going to do it anyway. But yeah, so I'm Mel Sherwood. I work with entrepreneurs and business professionals who want to express themselves with more confidence, more credibility, and more charisma. So I've written a book too, didn't expect I would be. It's called The Authority Guide to Pitching Your Business, How to Make an Impact and Be Remembered in Under a Minute.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, and I'm actually looking at, in the process of writing another book and doing the whole deep dive into who I am and how we can have more impact if we connect with who we are. And yeah, so
that's brilliant.
More red.
And I think that's where we are right now. Particularly, I think this is where everybody gets to really reevaluate. It's a time of introspection, and it's up to us individually and in society as a whole what happens next. There's a lot of trauma and fear going on, but I think through that we rise, and I think together we rise. So it's community over competition, and yeah, and I think everybody has gifts and everybody has something to bring to the world. So brilliant.
I think, yeah, it's exciting times, even though people are stressing about it. I think it's quite exciting. Does it look weird having some flowers growing out of my shoulder?
No.
Is that all right?
No.
I feel, normally I would say, for whatever
from...
reason, my Zoom used to allow me to fix the frame before I came on, and it didn't. So normally I'd be going back and like moving the flowers by a millimeter just to make sure.
Oh, ladies, quick news. Apparently Boris Johnson's got the virus.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, I noticed that.
Didn't know that.
We're actually live now in the Facebook group, so, but no pressure. We're not ready to start now. We're just letting everybody join in.
Okay.
You don't have to keep it clean, by the way. This is where people are getting to be really real and really raw, really authentic. So we don't need to be too careful about language or anything like that. Just bring your real self.
Yeah.
We've got Erica's joining us. Erica was on last week. Sandy, Lauren, hi Lauren, Louise and everything, yay! So it's nice to see everybody coming on board. Yeah. So
I'm
another
just looking in the Facebook group too. It's very weird.
Mel, are you looking into the Facebook group at the moment?
Yeah,
Oh, that guy.
it's very odd. I'm not going to keep looking. It's all right. I think it's on delay as well. Which is
yeah.
Oh, okay. I can see it, but I've kept it on silent. So
Good.
Yeah, mine's everything's on silent.
All phasers set to silent. Erica
not
says,
set to stun then.
it's done. Yeah, we are set to
Seeing as I'm the Trekkie amongst the group, of course.
I'm going to turn that off because it's distracting.
So, Finn, can you see, as everybody's popping in, are you able to see questions and stuff from the group?
Yep, absolutely. Erica has just said, howdy. Woo!
Howdy.
Hi, Erica.
Audrey's just joined. Hi, Audrey. And we're getting some likes as well. So yeah, people can join in and ask questions and things like that. So as you're talking, I'll try and pick up some of the questions that are coming in from anybody. So it's not just me interviewing you guys, but the rest of the community also interviewing.
Kat just decided to join us.
Hey Kirsty, how are you doing? There's Fiona Brown just joined as well. Hi Chandra, how are you doing? All right, so it's 12:30. Ready to get started?
Yes.
All right. If you want to just mute your mics, I'll just do the introductions then. Perfect. Okay, cool. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the second episode of She Means Business Scotland Live. We're coming at you live from Edinburgh, actually. All the guests today are based in Edinburgh, but that's no prejudice meant against anybody else in the rest of Scotland. We're always looking for all the top talent from across Scotland, all the top women who are making shit happen. Because that's my definition of a woman on a mission, you know, a woman who's doing some extraordinary stuff, whether it's in her community or in business, or even just surviving teenagers being absolute nightmares during this particular period. I'm not looking at anyone in particular here. Yeah, so welcome. This is the She Means Business Scotland show. It was set up by myself and the She Means Business community, which is supported by Enterprise Nation and by Facebook itself. So originally it was supposed to be a whole kind of tour around Scotland, giving women who are thinking about being in business or who are already in business lots of skills, tips and ideas and training to do with Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and Messenger, etc., etc. But obviously, we're now living in the COVID-19 era, so everything has had to change. Everything that we've ever thought was normal has now become a completely different way of doing business and even doing life as well. So now we've put the whole She Means Business Scotland online, and every single week we're coming at you with 3 of the top women in Scotland who are doing amazing stuff in their spheres, and hoping to bring you lots of inspiration and guidance and tips to how to cope with the struggle, which is the new reality of the Corona era, is what I call it. So every week on a Friday at 12:30, it's an interview type of session, and then on the 4th week, then we have a training session, a free training session by me, myself, and I. And if anybody doesn't know me, my name is Finn Wycherley. I run a company called Supersize Media, award-winning, and we help organizations and companies and people who are starting up and people who are already established in business to get their social media game on. So it's not just a couple of individuals and things. We do lots and lots of training, but we also train the big organizations like Skyscanner, Brody's, Shepherd and Wedderburn, all the big dudes, to make sure that they're making the most of all the things that are happening on all the different platforms. And that's not just Facebook and Instagram, but that's the areas where we tend to specialize. But we're also moving into Pinterest. We're starting to work with Pinterest as well. So if anybody's needing to get their business online in a big bad way, this is the reality of 2020, because for many, many businesses across the world, literally, they've had to wake up and realize that, you know, either they don't have a business anymore, or they're going to have to get their business online and find some kind of quick way to actually turn the whole face-to-face traditional marketing on its head and make everything go online. So here we are in a new era. If anybody's looking for any kind of social media training or online training, we've got loads and loads of training packages coming up as well. Rainbow Chameleon says, hi Finn, hi everyone, looking forward to some inspiration and some training tips and tricks. Okay, so today we're not doing any particular training tips and tricks, but we're going to be interviewing these fine, upstanding women of Scotland who are going to be bringing you their amazing tips and tricks for how they're coping with the new reality as well. All right, so to introduce our guest today, we have first up Mel Sherwood, who's going to be talking about how to speak confidently, because Mel is a voice coach, a public speaking coach, and if anybody has been trained up on how to get their message out there, it's normally by Miss Mel Sherwood, who's already got several books under her belt, I think, at least one anyway. That's Mel Sherwood of melsherwood.com. And then we also have the fantastic Sharon Ritchie of sharonritchie.com, who's got a vast portfolio of businesses that she does. And her speciality is helping people to network. So it's networking for the terrified, how to be able to build up that confidence to be able to speak to anybody and everybody with ease and charm and persuasibility, if that's even such a word. So we're going to be hearing from Sharon Ritchie after Mel. And then finally, we're going to have Miss Iona Russell, who has got an extraordinary story of how she actually got here today. We were originally going to be having the wonderful Finn Goddard, who is going to be talking about her incredible spiritual programs that she offers for people who are recovering from trauma. But unfortunately, she's down with the COVID. So we're wishing her all the very best in her speedy recovery. As we know, many people are going to be infected, but fortunately, the stats are very encouraging that, you know, you're going to be able to recover from it very quickly with hopefully very mild symptoms. And the hot news and gossip on today, obviously, is that not only our esteemed Finn Goddard might have the virus, but Boris Johnson has also been confirmed as being tested positive for the coronavirus as well. So don't cheer, or don't. I mean, you know, please just keep a lid on that type of thing. We need all the kind of leadership we can get at this particular difficult time. Hi Haley, hi Kirsty, hi Bonnie, how are you doing? Hi Wendy. All right, so Iona is going to be joining us, thankfully, and she's going to be talking about how to make sure that you are making the best of this situation. She's a freedom coach and intuitive coach, and she's also got her new book out, and she's got another couple of books in the pipeline. So there's no better person to talk to right now to make sure that you're trying to make sense of this situation and turn the craziness into opportunities for your personal life as well as your business life, because everything comes from the core, doesn't it? All right, so that's the basic news on what's going to be happening today. The other piece of information I wanted to share with you was the news that was launched yesterday by the Chancellor of the Exchequer, who's finally agreed to give some kind of support for the self-employed community. So many of the people in this community are self-employed, and finally we have an option on the table, which is being launched today, which is basically you're going to be able to apply for up to, how does it go, 3 months of, no, so you can apply for 80% of your profits based on the last 3 years, up to 2,500, something like that. You can Google it, but basically they're trying to come up with some kind of parity with what was offered to the employed people. It's not going to be perfect, obviously. There's going to be lots and lots of problems with it. Lots of people have been talking about that they're finding it really difficult to get through on any of the helplines or the support lines. So everybody's trying to rush hard to make sure that they're setting up all their resources online as quickly as possible, so that people are not having to wait in massive phone queues in order to get the access to the information that they need for their business. Hi Cheryl, hi Sandra. So so there's all kinds of opportunities. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty ugly as people are wading through all that information and trying to fill out all those forms. But at the end of the day, it's better than a stick in the face with a jobby stick or whatever. You know the expression that I'm trying to say. Better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. That was the one. So I mean, in the She Means Business Scotland group, we've also been putting in loads and loads of resources as well, so that whenever there's any kind of funding opportunity available, we've put it all in there. So all you have to do in the She Means Business Scotland group is look for any kind of topics to do with funding. So we've put in information to do with, universal credit. We've put in information to do with the charity sector, because that was launched earlier on this week as well, to do with employees, and to do with now the self-employed, as well as the businesses, and as well as the 3-month mortgage opportunities that people have as well. So, I mean, these are all incredible resources that are being offered, but at the end of the day, this is tough time. I mean, I don't think anybody, even the older generation that went through the war, can describe how tough this particular period happens to be. Thanks, Kirsty, for making a mockery of my poking the eye with a sharp stick. I'll remember that one in future. All right, so anybody in the audience who's joined us on Facebook Live, please feel free to ask questions. This is not just me interviewing these superstars today. This is an opportunity for the whole community to get together, make suggestions, ask questions, and basically rally round with all kinds of support and nurturing as we can during these harsh times that we're living in. Harsh, but with loads and loads of possibilities and loads of opportunities as well. All right, so without further ado, hi Jody. Then let's introduce Mel. Mel, if you'd like to unmute your mic.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing? Oh my God,
I'm
you look absolutely stunning. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Thanks for inviting me along today. Good.
No, it's fantastic. So do you want to introduce yourself for the benefit of those people who've never heard of you before?
Sure. So I'm Mel Sherwood, and I work mainly with entrepreneurs and business professionals who want to express themselves with more confidence, credibility, and charisma. And I work with individuals, coaching them one-to-one. I also work with organisations, anything from Scottish Government through to advertising agencies and engineering firms. So I'll run workshops in their organisations as well. I have a background as an actor, so I'm actually really interested in how we use our bodies, our voices, our minds, and our hearts to really connect with and engage with people. So, and we were talking about books before. I wrote a book, wasn't expecting to write a book, but was asked to write a book for the Authority Guide series. There's about 20 books in the series, I think. And my book is called The Authority Guide to Pitching Your Business, How to Make an Impact and Be Remembered in Under a Minute. So,
yeah, because you've been involved in a lot of pitching type of organizations. You help out with the Edge people, you help out with a whole range of organizations who are not just doing public speaking, but actually doing the proper business of pitching.
Yeah. So yeah, pitching and presentation skills really is my niche. I also coach a lot of TEDx speakers and people who are preparing for TEDx style talks. So really simplifying that message and making it, getting it very, very clear. That's one of the hardest things that people have. A lot of people have so much knowledge and information that they want to share, and actually really refining that and working out what the message is quite a challenge for some folks. That's one of my superpowers, is simplifying things. So I love doing that.
Amazing. And you've not got a very strong Scottish accent. Is it the Borders that you're from?
Yeah, pretty down, no, down south. So I'm actually from Melbourne originally. I've been in Scotland for 14 years. Wasn't expecting to be, just came as a whim. Actually, the Fringe Festival drew me here. And then when I got to Scotland, I felt just so comfortable. And if you believe in past lives, I figure I've probably had a past life in Scotland. And the weirdest thing was, right, so here's a story actually. I used to have nightmares every night, the same nightmare when I was a kid. And I was probably around about, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, I don't really know. But every night I had this nightmare where I was walking along a dark, misty kind of street. There was a big stone wall along to my left, and I was holding on to my dad's hand, and we were walking down the street in this misty evening. And every so often this wall had gaps in it, like gateways, I suppose. And in the dream, a black cloaked, black gloved man would like lean out of the gap in the wall and grab me and pull me into the wall. And I would open my mouth to scream and no words would come out. And my dad didn't realize that I'd let go of his hand, and then I'd wake up. And this nightmare was every night, night after night after night. And then I'd been in Scotland for about 3 months, and I was walking along a road one day and went, oh, that's the actual wall in my dream. It's just the weirdest thing. So I don't know if I've lived here before, but I feel very comfortable here. So maybe I have.
That's crazy.
I know.
Sounds like you have been here before, definitely. Yeah, I know Iona is nodding away there, so I'm sure she's got a whole bunch of good, great, fantastic spiritual theories that she can contribute. Iona, just jump in here. What's your theory?
I'd love to hear it.
I love past life theories, and I've done a lot of past life regression. It's absolutely fascinating because whether or not people believe it, there's always a message in there. So I led a group workshop, I think 2 years ago when I was down in Birmingham at an entrepreneurs event. And one of the biggest naysayers there had the most surreal experience. Like she was so overcome, and she still didn't quite believe it, but she didn't care because she got so much from it. But I do believe in it, and everything's energy, and we're all connected, and that's why we're in a very interesting time. So yeah, you were absolutely here before.
100%. I mean, this is something I get often from people who visit Scotland and then who stay. They have a feeling that, you know, there must have been some kind of ancestor here or past life, etc., etc. It is a place full of ghosts and phantoms, that's for sure. So how did you get in from being in acting into actually being a coach in this space?
A long journey. I've had lots and lots and lots of different roles, but actually looking back, I realized that all of the different roles that I've done in business and that sort of thing are all around communication of some sort. So I've worked in marketing, I've worked in learning and development, customer relations, that kind of thing. So I worked for a big company in Australia for 15 years alongside my performing career. There's not the most amount of work in Melbourne for actresses. So that really gave me such a great grounding in business and so much wonderful experience that I now weave into what I do. How I'm actually doing this right now, I'd always wanted to run my own business, and I was working in learning and development, looking after learning and development for the Church of Scotland of all places. And then I decided I wanted my own business, and I wanted an online business that gave me freedom and flexibility of time and location. And I came up with an idea for an online platform for the performing arts industry. I pitched it to a startup accelerator who were not quite sure about the idea, but they liked me and they liked my enthusiasm, and they said, come into the program and prove to us that it's a viable idea. So I started I literally quit my job, left on the Friday, started in the startup accelerator on the Monday, and then I started researching whether it was a possibility, and everyone I spoke to said, yeah, that's a really, really fantastic idea. It sounds great. There was just one major problem with that. No one was prepared to pay for it. So it wasn't really the greatest business idea. But what I found was that I was really good at pitching the idea. And so then all the entrepreneurs in the Startup Accelerator kept coming to me and asking me, would I help them with their pitches? So that's how it all started. And then I developed some training for the accelerator as well around credibility killers and how to avoid them and all of that sort of thing. And it just grew and grew and grew. So my business has completely grown organically. Most of my work comes from word of mouth or recommendations or repeat business. So,
Fantastic.
and I'm now 7 years on. So.
Wow, a true pro in our midst. And so tell me, what are the main kind of mistakes that people make when it comes to pitching with confidence?
Not thinking about the audience is the number one mistake. Quite often when we do a presentation or a pitch, it's like, oh, what do I want to tell them? But actually, the more we know about our audience, the more effective we can be as a communicator. I often ask people, you know, if you were to think about, well, what's the most important part of a presentation or a pitch? Is it the presenter? Is it the content? Or is it the audience? And in my workshops, where there's lots of debate, oh, it's definitely the content, it's got to, no, it's definitely the presenter, because it can be whatever content, but if the presenter's good, then it's fine. But actually, when I'm generally able to turn everyone's mind around when we talk about, well, actually, if you don't know who your audience are, you can't craft content that's going to be engaging and relevant and interesting for them, nor can you present it effectively. And I give the example, if I had to give a message to a group of 5-year-olds versus a group of retirees, how I craft that message is going to be very different to make it interesting for them and relevant. And also potentially how I deliver it. I might change my style slightly. And that's what makes a great presenter, being able to understand the audience and craft the message and their delivery in a way that really connects with them. That's probably the main mistake that people make, but there are so many others. I think trying to tell people too much information is one of the other things. And I remember a great quote. I don't know whoever said it originally, but the more you tell me, the less I remember. So if you simplify your message, and that's why the TEDx talks are really good. If you can get down to that one big idea and just communicate that, it has far more impact and will be far more memorable.
Amazing. So what kind of speakers do you kind of look up to? Is there anybody who comes across to you as a real standout speaker?
It's really interesting because I get asked this all the time, and you know, you've got your classic answers like Barack and Obama and Michelle, people like that, and Steve Jobs was always talked about as, you know, a great speaker, but he wasn't great to begin with. You know, he had to work really hard to do that. And so for me, some of the best speakers I've seen are people who, I think passion is one of the key things, you know. And I remember seeing a talk years ago, and the woman didn't speak English, wasn't her first language, so she was stopping every now and again to ask her helpers what the right English word was to communicate. But there was something about her absolute commitment to what she was talking about and the passion that she said that really drew me in. She, you know, from a classic, you know, all the rules around public speaking, she didn't really abide by any of them, but she was so powerful in her message because she was so committed to it. And that's what I like to help people express, to really draw that out and really connect with it. Because if you're not interested in what you're saying, no one else is going to be.
Absolutely. And then there's a whole kind of structure and format involved in the whole kind of speech and presentation process. Speaking as a former speechwriter for politicians and business as well, you know, I mean, but everything you're saying also, you know, rings true in terms of marketing. You know, most people, when they want to be able to market their business, they want to talk about, this is what I do, this is who we are, this is why you need to hire us. Whereas in fact, the person doesn't want to hear any of that stuff. They want to know, how are you solving my problem? That's all.
Actually, you're so right. And probably Sharon will touch base on this as well. And, you know, in my book, I talk about the fact that, you know, when people ask you, what do you do? They don't care what you do. They care about what you can do for them. And it's the same with your marketing, any communication. It really, we need to focus on our audience.
Totally. So tell us, what's some of the kind of great books? I mean, I know you've got your book that you have published recently, and do you have another couple of books in the?
I have a book in the pipeline, which is really early stages, but it's a whole project that I'm working on. So and a whole new program and way of working and way of showing up So watch this space on that. But yeah, so what books have influenced me? Is that the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what? There's one that comes to mind that it completely transformed the way I approached my life, and it's Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by, I think it's Susanna Jeffries. And I read it in my early 20s because I'd finished with my performing arts studies, and I kept putting off going out there and getting an agent, you know, until I'd lost a few kilos, or until I'd had my hair cut, or until I got my, you know, all of that stuff. And we all do it, you know. I can see Sharon nodding along. We all do it, don't we? And so that phrase just stuck with me. And now, I talk a lot about exercising your courage muscle. Like, if you're not confident, by doing the things that you're not confident about, you build your confidence. So you exercise that courage muscle. Clearly it's not a real muscle, but I just made that up. But actually, the more you do it, and you step into it, and that's what builds confidence and builds resilience and builds your self-belief in what you're capable of. So yeah, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway is a great book and a great quote to live by.
Yeah, and I think that resonates for everything. You know, when you're trying to do anything that's new, it's the hardest thing ever is just to get started.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's all out of the comfort zone. It's all new. There's all kinds of possibilities of different ways you could get it wrong. So just getting started and starting to get it established into a routine is always the hardest job of all. Yeah. So you're in Scotland for good now, right? You're in with the bricks, basically.
Who knows? I'm always open to possibilities. I don't, I feel really comfortable here. In fact, I'm meant to be moving in 2 weeks away from Edinburgh to North Berwick, and obviously I'm not moving in 2 weeks. Everything's so up in the air. So, but I still expect I'll be in Scotland for a period of time yet.
Yeah. So how is the business coping during the COVID-19 period then?
I've actually had lots and lots of work cancelled or postponed, obviously. And interestingly enough, prior to this all happening, I've been working on an online course that's part of this whole new program that I'm doing. So that will come out, and it'll be, that obviously is perfect for this kind of environment. Although there's a lot of noise out there at the moment about people, trying to offer their programs. So I'm embracing this moment to just have a breather, just stay really healthy and centered and grounded, and use the time to meditate and reconnect with who I am and what I want to bring to the world, really, and how I can help the world. So I'm actually enjoying this moment of uncertainty, but B, just not actually being able to have to be out every day, or that sort of thing. It's quite an unusual experience to be in, but I have felt the universe has been nudging me for a while to go within and to relax a bit. I'm so consumed by my business. So for me, actually, the best thing that I can do is a bit of self-leadership and allow myself to do what I need to do. I was away for a month in Cambodia and Bali in January. I'd been part of a project building a school in Cambodia, which was brilliant to go and see. But it was funny, the last day in Bali, just before we flew back, I was sitting next to someone by the pool in this villa that we were staying in, and I realized it was the first time I'd felt relaxed. 4 weeks away, and I went, whoa, that's a big message for me. I need to, and that's part of the reason I'm moving to North Berwick and just having a shift of lifestyle, just completely rethinking things.
And we've actually got Jackie Forbes in the room as well.
Hi Jackie.
She was on the trip with you as well.
Yeah.
The fantastic Alison Mackenzie. Yeah, brilliant, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Tell us about where people can get hold of you, and if they're interested in getting any kind of support to do with public speaking or pitching, or any of the other fabulous services that you offer.
Sure. So you can find me at my website, melsherwood.com. Pretty simple. I have an ebook that I'm happy to send you on my top 5 tips to being a better presenter. So just mel@melsherwood.com, send me an email and I'm happy to send that to you. We were talking before, Finn, about the fact that more and more things are online at the moment, and we're having online meetings, or we have to connect with people online. And I did a short video recently just helping people come across as confident and professional and engaging on video. So if anyone wants that, I'll pop that in, the link to that in the Facebook group, and you can have a look at that, and hopefully that will help give some folks
Yeah,
some tips
brilliant.
as well.
I mean, before we go live, we always have a kind of quick rehearsal to make sure everybody's got their mics and their whole setup right. And Mel was giving us all some fantastic tips on making sure the background was looking cool. So obviously I jazzed mine up with all the
And it looks beautiful.
flowers. So it was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so I will definitely recommend, having a look at that, because nowadays, you don't want to be coming across as, looking particularly shabby or looking like you're speaking from your cloakroom or anything like that. Or worse, if you're looking down at the camera and then you're getting the massive double chin coming up. You can see that a lot with the TV interviews. Loads and loads of people are being interviewed on Skype, and you're seeing the insides of their noses as
I know.
they look down.
I'm too vain to have the double chins, and like I always try and make the lighting right so I look younger and like.
Yeah. Oh, and also top tip, if anybody's using Zoom, there's actually a feature in it, if you can go into the kind of back office of Zoom, that says enhance appearance. But
I saw that. I was looking the other day. I went, oh, fantastic.
Unfortunately, I've already done that, so this is as good as it gets.
I think you can only do that when you're the host, isn't it?
Okay then. Well,
I'll try it out. I'll check it while we're on it. See if we can do it.
Brilliant. All right, thanks so much, Mel. Just stay around and to join in as we move through the She Means Business Scotland show. So just to remind everybody who's just been joining us lately, this is the She Means Business Scotland show. We're on live every Friday at 12:30 with a group of fantastic and outstanding women who are doing incredible stuff, whether it's in the business sector or in the charity sector or the health and well-being, because we all need a bit of guidance. We all need to come together. We all need some top tips to navigate this crazy coronavirus era that we're living in right now. So basically, week after week, it's an interview session with our top inspirational people in the space. And then on the fourth week, it is a fantastic, well, I would call it fantastic, training session, free training session on Facebook or Instagram. I think the next session that we're due to do actually is next week on Instagram stories. So if you haven't got already set up with Instagram, we're already fast forwarding onto Instagram stories next Friday as well. So stay tuned for that at the same time, 12:30 next Friday. Okay, so moving swiftly on, I'd love for you to meet our next guest, which is Miss Sharon Ritchie. Sharon, unmute your mic and come on down.
Hello, how are you all?
I'm good.
Hope you're all coping.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an interesting time. Sharon, tell us about yourself and what do you do?
Well, I've been around for a wee while now, actually. I was 14 years at the Chamber of Commerce, both Edinburgh and West Lothian. And in that time, I worked with them. I produced their retention strategy, which they had put in place, because it was all very well bringing the members in, but they were falling out the bottom as quick as we were bringing them in. So we needed to find a way to plug that at the bottom. And one of the ways to do that was to try and enhance the value of the membership. And part of that was to introduce an introduction service whereby members could come to events and then come to me and say, Sharon, I'd like to meet such and such. Can you make sure I meet them? This ended up becoming a hugely valuable service, and people absolutely loved it, because they're terrified to do that initial walk up to somebody and say, hi, my name is da. And also, please don't use the worst thing ever is, what do you do? I think it's the equivalent of, do you come here often? I've never used it.
Yeah. So now you're helping people with those kind of terrifying networking skills, which
absolutely.
so many people I mean, this is like one of the top 5 fears, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, it is. And I can tell you why it is, actually. It's quite funny. When you're a child, you get told all the time by your parents not to talk to strangers. And there's a program that runs in your head, and it's still running even now as an adult, that says, don't talk to strangers, stranger danger. However, when I was a child, when I was wee, I didn't heed to don't talk to strangers. And I used to talk to anybody and everybody, and I used to drive my mum and dad nuts. And my brother used to say to me, why do you just want to talk to everybody? But that's just the case, and I've always been like that. And it didn't matter who it was, I was, talk to strangers. But the reason that people, they still feel that fear inside them of don't talk to strangers, because they've been told by their parents not to do so.
So it must be so difficult to be able to teach people to overcome those kind of basic fears.
It is. It is very difficult. But the best way to do that is to give them the right tools so they don't feel so uncomfortable about it. Yes, I know it's difficult walking up to a complete stranger and going, hi, I'm Sharon Ritchie, blah, 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 etc., etc. But what I've learned is it's not about what you do. It's about who you are as a person. And it's about, my favourite line is always, so tell me, what do you like to do when you're not working? And people are a bit flummoxed by that, because they expect you to come along and go, oh, well, I do this, this and this, and da-da-da. Do you know, Mel alluded it to earlier, people don't care what you do, but they do care about how you make them feel. So when you're chatting to people, the biggest thing you need to do is listen. Not, be interested in what they've got to say, not interesting. And that is the biggest thing that I found was helpful to a lot of people.
And so the kind of people that you're working with, are they all ages? Or is there a particular type of person that tends to need this kind of support?
Well, I recently worked with a company who absolutely loved the training, and I think it works more for businesses that have people that are going out in the field, whether it be business development managers, sales managers, etc., but also people who have their own business, because they have to go out and sell themselves. It's like about building your own personal profile. It's your own personal brand that you're building when you're out there. You're not selling to anybody, they're buying you as a person. So what this corporate guy had said, he was delighted. He came back to me and he said, Sharon, you're never going to believe this. He says, but before I used to have a hard time getting them to go out and do networking. See, now it's like, oh, I'll go, because they all feel so much more confident now, because they know what they're saying, how to stand, do you know what sort of subjects to talk about. Obviously keep away from dangerous subjects like religious, football and politics. Don't talk about these things, definitely not. I don't know about talking about coronavirus, but there are certain subjects that you should definitely avoid. But I think the best one for me was, there was a guy sitting when I was doing the training, and he had the arms folded and like saying, oh, what are you going to teach me sort of idea. And it was actually quite funny, because when we got up and I was going round, I made them all network, actually physically get up and do it. You should have seen their faces, it was hilarious. But anyway, I went and joined his group, and he was a bit, and I said, so tell me, what do you like to do when you're not working? And he went, well, I don't really do anything. I said, oh, that's interesting. He says, I like to take my dog for a walk. I says, oh, cool, what kind of dog have you got? And he said, oh, I've got a golden Labrador. I said, so have I, which I had until I unfortunately she passed away 3 months ago. And I says, tell me, does your dog jump into water every time you see? Oh, and that was it. He was off.
No.
Talking about his dog, talking about, how greedy Labradors are and how they never get enough to eat. And his whole thing, he completely did a huge 360 on the whole thing. His whole attitude changed, because he was talking about himself, what he likes to do in his spare time.
Amazing, amazing. So when you were a wee girl, did you know that this was the kind of thing you might be doing when you were older?
Actually, no. When I was younger, I was really good at languages. I don't know why. And I wanted to become an interpreter. I know, that's a weird thing, for a child, but hey ho. It's just, I was just weird. When I was in high school, I was learning French, German and Spanish, and English obviously was my thingy. And I just really loved languages, and I seemed to have a talent of learning them. So that's what I originally wanted to be.
So it's all about communication, basically, since when you were young. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But that didn't happen. I ended up getting married and having twin boys instead, but there you go.
and I've got to say, if anybody doesn't know Sharon, you know, I mean, I think Sharon's got to be the most well-kent face in the whole of Edinburgh and beyond, really.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just because it's very much about putting yourself out there. When you're out networking, if you can't get people, if they can't see you here in the front of your head, they forget about you. It's why I teach afterwards, so the training is about the whole LinkedIn thing as well. LinkedIn is fabulous for continuing the relationship, because it's all very well going out and meeting people and chatting to them and going away and having a coffee with them and blah, 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 or in this case, virtual coffees. What do you do next? How do you keep the relationship? How do you continue? You know, I mean, there are people that I met 14 years ago in the chamber, and I'm still in contact with them. I mean, not obviously like, you know, in thingy contact, but when I see posts, I like their posts, I give them a wee comment, I just say, hi, not been a while since we saw each other, how you doing, how's it going, blah, blah, blah. And it's all about keeping the communication up, because if you're not in the forefront of their mind, they forget about you.
And I think one of the interesting things you were saying there was that, you know, you have to establish that connection with that person.
You do.
It's not just a question of just having a chat, you know, exchanging views and opinions and stuff like that. There's a moment, what I kind of call a magical moment that happens where suddenly it's like, boom, we have a union, we have a hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so true. And you know, there was another training I did. We had, again, I made them get up and train and talk to each other and blah, blah, blah. And then this one guy was chatting away, and I said to him, so what do you like to do? I said, blah, blah, when you're not working. He says, I like to play my guitar. I says, oh, cool. I says, what kind of guitar have you got? Now, luckily for me, I have a husband who had 3 guitars, and I knew them all, you know, and I said, and he says, I play a Stratocaster. I went, I says, that's what Francis Rossi plays. You should have seen his face. He was like, whoa. And the guy in the same group who works with them, they've worked together for 10 years, turned around and went, I play the guitar too. I play in a band. And that was it. The 2 of them were off.
That's the
Now,
magic.
these guys had worked with each other for nearly 10 years and didn't know that.
Amazing. By the way, everybody who's just joined us lately, Diana, Melanie, Indley, Woodstock, Maria, this is a free-for-all. So basically, if you've got any questions you want to ask anybody, just feel free to just jump in and type your comments in there, or type your questions. If you've got any big mad questions you want to be asking any of the guests, whether it's Mel, who's still sitting in the green room in the back there, or Sharon, who's with us now, or Iona, who's just about to come up, feel free to ask any of your questions or add in your comments as well. Hi, Lorraine. How are you doing? So back to you, Sharon. So what do you anticipate is going to be happening for your business during this coronavirus era? So imagining that it's going to be lasting for a good 3 months, how are you going to be adapting to that?
Well, at the moment, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing at the moment is through Zoom. Obviously, I'm not getting any bookings for trainings because face-to-face networking right now is an absolute no-no. I mean, you know, I've got a couple of other businesses. I've got my utility warehouse business now as well, which is helping me at the moment because we can sign up people remotely online now. So I don't even need to leave my house, and I can still help people with that. I think it was Mel earlier was alluding to maybe writing a training course. Now, the training course originally I thought was, well, what's the point in writing a training course on doing face-to-face networking and put it online? However, I think there's still merit in doing that. Especially with Zoom as well, because you can still see people, you can still see the reaction, you can still see what's going on, because a lot of the time when you're networking, if you're not doing it face to face, you're missing part of the interaction because you don't have that face-to-face communication.
Yeah, it's that whole 95% of non-verbals, you know, the tone of voice,
absolutely, how
they're holding their head, what their clothes like, what kind of perfume they're smelling. You know, you're picking up on all those kind of non-verbal cues that are going to help you to understand whether you're going to connect with them or not at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And even just I've got this thing as well. If you can look somebody in the eye and chat to them, you know, it really is true. The eyes are very much the windows to the soul. You can so see what's going on in there when you're looking at somebody.
Yeah, brilliant. All right. So how do people get in contact with you if they're looking to get any kind of support for
Absolutely. My website, which is actually sharonritchie.scott, SCOT, not
Okay.
.com, just to say. And my email address, which is sharon@sharonritchie.scott, Ritchie with a T in it. So I'm happy to help anybody. I generally tend to find as well that women in business struggle a bit more, because most networking events in the past have always been, I mean, I remember the first networking event I went to at the Chamber, oh my God, in 2005. There was 2 women in the room, me and somebody else, and it was just a sea of men. And I would like to say that it's changed a lot, it's changed a little, but when you go to the big networking events, it's still full of quite a lot of men in suits. So we need to change that, ladies.
We need to change that, and this is what this group is about. This is She Means Business Scotland, because we are changing. This is the opportunity, as Iona is going to tell us. This is the opportunity for women to do what we do best, which is, as a community, we grow together. And this is a group, this is a forum, which is going to be allowing everybody to have that opportunity. We've got Kirsty asking a question. She's asking, for women who are feeling completely overwhelmed and lost in amongst the chaos, what's your best tip to find their voice? I think this could go for all 3 of our speakers today. Sharon, what do you suggest?
I think also you have to remember, whatever your expertise is, the one lesson that I learned is, I think everybody knows what I'm going to treat them, you know, what I'm going to train them in. Your expertise that you have, nobody knows what you know. You're the expert. They've come to you for help. When you're out networking, you can go in there and say to yourself, I'm the expert here. I know what I'm talking about. And I never used to think that either. I had the most horrific imposter syndrome, where I used to think, Sharon, who do you think you are? You know, but you have to get past that, because what I have learned is people don't know. People do need help, and people do need to know the knowledge that you have.
So brilliantly put, and you're getting lots of love hearts there as you're speaking there. That's striking a chord with a lot of people. So on that note, thank you so much, Ms. Sharon. It's been wonderful talking to you again. And if anybody's got any questions they want to ask Sharon, please feel free to put them in the comments section below during the session, or even after, because there's going to be a lot of people who are watching this on the replay later on. All right, thank you very much, Ms. Sharon. Thank you. Okay, now let me introduce you to Miss Iona Russell, who amazingly was able to step in at last minute. We originally had Finn Goddard due to be our 3rd guest today, but unfortunately she's got the COVID-19. And so Iona, I managed to grab her from all kinds of chaos. She's just arrived from Hawaii. She's massively jet lagged. She nearly wasn't going to make it here back to Edinburgh, but we're so grateful for you to be with us here today. Iona, hi. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Yes. And after that quick call from you, I had to jump in the shower. So yeah, I'm very jet lagged, I have to say.
Yes. So introduce yourself for everybody who doesn't know you then.
Okay, well, I'm Iona Russell, and I am an intuitive life coach, and I help people activate freedom from within their soul so they can actually feel they're living life on purpose instead of life happening to them. They actually really awaken to their gifts, their confidence, and shift those limiting beliefs that they've grown up with, and just really step into their power. And I think now more than ever, we need this. So I think in this moment that we're experiencing now, people really get to evaluate. There's a lot of turmoil and chaos going on, but we're given this time to self-isolate. And obviously I'm in quarantine because of the international travel, and we can't go outside. So it's time to go within, and everything we seek is within. And it took me 42 years to figure that out. And so now I help other people do that and really step into their full potential, because I'd say my superpower is seeing the potential in everybody. And to me, it's always so obvious. And so I love those aha moments and helping people align mind, body, and spirit, because it's not about just focusing on your business or just focusing on your hobby. You know, it's not just one thing. It's like the whole package. It's a holistic approach. And we need that more than ever, you know, collaboration over competition. And we all have something to give. We all have something to bring to the party. And yeah, and we all have great knowledge, and it's just figuring out a way to get that out, or follow the breadcrumbs of a new passion or interest,
So when it
and
comes to
start making money doing that.
or sorry to interrupt that. So when it comes to going inside, you know, I mean, I understand what that means. I've been on a spiritual journey myself in the last 18 months to 2 years now. So this kind of language makes sense to me now. But if you spoke to me 2 years ago, I'd be like, hey, what? Last time I got in touch with my inside was with a packet of crisps and a bottle of wine or something like that. So what does it actually mean? And how do we actually tap into that?
Well, that's actually 8 years ago, I would have said the same thing as you. I thought all of this was, you know, just a load of, you know, bollocks, basically. And yeah, even myself, I was looking for external validation, getting the career. I mean, I'd run a great charitable trust. Worked in foster care. So I had all these really worthwhile jobs, but I felt empty. And I was filling the void with sex, drugs, and rock and roll, you know, like so many of us, when you're living for the weekend. And it's that hungry ghost, like you're continuously trying to feed it, starve it. We have all these mental health issues. And really the one thing that I find that's missing for people who are feeling this way, whether it's somebody who chooses to stay at home for whatever reason, or a multi-million-pound head of a whatever company, it's themselves. So it's coming back to who they are and to themselves, and it's about getting quiet and listening to that internal voice. And I know Mel, in our little brief chat beforehand, mentioned meditation, but it doesn't have to be meditation where you have to go and sit and be zen for hours. It's just whatever it is that brings people that peace and that calm. And particularly nowadays, where we need to be the calm within the storm. You know, like, you know, when there's a tornado going, like right in the center of it, it's calm. And so we can choose to show up that way. I know it sounds a lot easier than it doesn't. I'm making it sound really easy. It is, but you just have to get over those limiting beliefs you tell yourself. Because quite frankly, if you'd have told me to sit down and go, you know, and just chill, and my ex-husband was always telling me to breathe, and I just kind of wanted to tell him to go and take a running jump, but he was right. So it's finding that time to pause and be open to inspiration and those amazing ideas that we all get when we stop trying to be the way we think we should show up and start really tuning into who we are. And it's about being in your heart. And based around all of this, that's what my first book is.
So what about people who have a real difficulty with actually getting that quietness in the mind? Because most people I know, if you tell them to sit quiet for a minute, you know, the monkey mind is just going to keep on chattering away, and they'll never get any peace. And sometimes you have to be driven to all kinds of things to get that monkey mind to shut up. You'll take to the alcohol, you'll use sex, you'll use all kinds of distraction activities to stop that bloody anxiety kind of chatter relentlessly driving you back to you.
Yeah. Well, something we can guarantee is another thought is going to come along. So it's not about not attaching to those thoughts. It's like if I tell you not to think of a pink elephant, first thing you're going to do is think of a pink elephant. You know, it's about allowing those thoughts. And particularly we've got a lot of time. We'll all have so many thoughts racing at the moment, more so than before. Excuse me. And it's not attaching to those. It's not analyzing them. It's not going down the rabbit hole, and just allowing them to be. And even if it's just for a few minutes, I like a lot of my really high-profile clients. Like they're like, I haven't got time to do this. I haven't got time to breathe. I'm like, you're breathing anyway. Do it in the shower, just 3 conscious breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Start where you are. I'm not trying to tell people to go and sit, meditate for an hour. It could be taking a walk with your dog, but it's about being present. Smell, it's literally, stop and smell the flowers. Be out when you're walking your dog, be aware so that your vision is expansive as opposed to like tunnel vision, thinking about what you're going to do for dinner, that next job deal you need to do, and you're not even focusing on your dog. So it's doing whatever it is that you just allow, and it's accepting that thoughts are going to come, and then not beating yourself up, not attaching to them. And it can be really simple.
So what brought you into the journey? What was there a specific moment that happened that forced you, or did you choose to go on this journey?
Oh, I didn't choose. I rebelled. I was raised by Buddhist parents, so I grew up with this environment. And 14. I went off the wild end. And when I was, so that was 14. When I was 42, I'd been married for 2 years. And I had like an existential crisis. Like I'd suffered with depression a lot. I used to drink a lot too, so that didn't help. But I sat up in bed, like it was midnight, and I just felt this heavy weight and sheer panic. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I didn't know what this was. That's the crazy thing. I thought I still had to change my husband, not literally, and change my son and change where we lived and move us back to Scotland. Still at that point, I thought it was all external factors. And I just happened to go to a meditation workshop one day, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And it began, so it's kind of, I came back to myself. And I used to joke, gosh, it took me moving to Texas to go find myself, in the Bible Belt. So it's a very surreal place to live in. But it gradually began. And then when I then jumped forward sort of a couple of years, and I ended up getting divorced, my mother died, and I moved back to Scotland with a reluctant teenager. But because I'd started having all these practices whilst working, I had the coping skills. So when I moved back, I decided, okay, I need to bring together all my skills and everything I've ever done professionally, reinvent myself again, and then help other people navigate trauma, overwhelm, and find what it is that they want to do. So I completely fell into it. Even, I do with a lot of things that go well.
So tell us about the book then, because this has been a long time in the making, and I'm so glad to see it up on your shelves there. It's looking fantastic, and it's a different title to the one that we had discussed a while back.
Yeah, well, even my book, I was originally about a year and a half ago going to write a book about partly my journey, partly and holding space for people, because I'm a hypnotherapist. I have so many tools. And then it was getting too complicated. So I just thought, I'm just going to write this little book, which is brilliant because it came out in time. I love it because it's like an oracle. You just open it. There's randomly to a page, there's spiritual practices, there's mindset techniques, there's processes that people can do that I have used with myself and my clients. So there's nothing in there that's just fluff trying to fill the pages. It really is a book that people can just dip in and out of. And I've loved having it. And the thing that I love about this book is I took a bunch with me to Hawaii, and I was going to do a workshop there. Obviously, that didn't happen. But it was great. I just started giving the book out, and people I'd meet and would have these conversations. And something that's come from the book, which I didn't think about, is I love having that as an option to give to people. Oh, well, you're not quite ready to work with me, or you don't want to commit to working in a group or one-to-one. Well, you can go and pick up this book for, £11.11. I like numbers.
Yeah.
And so it's another way to work with me. And people have said it's literally like hanging out with me because I've written it exactly how I speak.
Yeah. So tell us about the journey coming back from Hawaii. It sounded like it was quite surreal, the whole experience, because you just arrived back like yesterday or 2 days ago?
Midnight Wednesday. So I met my brother who lives in Canada there. He was meant to stay another week, so he left actually the day before I did. So I left, and he only just got out, him and his family. So I left there Monday, and I did think about staying there. left there Monday morning. It took me from Monday morning until Wednesday midnight to be here, and it was surreal. It was like traveling in a science fiction film, because like on empty airplanes, empty airport. I don't like anyone who's been to Los Angeles airport. That's crazy. Like, it was tumbleweeds. It was really surreal. And the day I was there, everything was going to be closed the next day. And I had a 10-hour wait there. We'd stayed in an airport. Heathrow, when I was there, it was completely like, there was a Boots opening of WH Smith's. No sandwiches. We were there 6 hours. I mean, I'm lucky I got home, and the kindness of everybody, because my neighbor organized a taxi for me, because there's no taxis out there at the airport.
Jeez.
So, but I knew that even if I got stuck somewhere along the way, I'd be fine.
Yeah, you've got that inner resilience now to keep you company.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So tell us a bit more about how people can get in touch with you if they're looking for any kind of support and guidance as they're trying to navigate emotionally, spiritually, I keep looking out my window. That's why I keep looking at the world out there, how people can navigate this whole craziness that we're going through right now.
Yeah. IonaRussell.com is my website. You can email me at IonaRussell.com. And also I'm on all the social medias as at Iona Russell Coach. So it's pretty straightforward and easy. And if people just want to drop me a message, because I know I'm thinking of organizing literally virtual coffee through Zoom, having people come together, because we just haven't got that at the moment. And I've had a lot of interest from people. So that is something I'm going to work on, but obviously I was awake at 1 this morning, so I'm still jet lagged, but yeah, I think so that's how people can reach out.
Thank you so much. On that note, Iona, that was so wonderful. I'm so grateful that you actually came in at the last minute and bailed us out there, because that would have been we would have been all the worse for not having had you on the show. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so on that note, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for my guests, Miss Sharon Ritchie of SharonRitchie.Scott. We've got Iona Russell of IonaRussell.com and Mel Sherwood of MelSherwood.com. And if that's not a statement of how women are stepping up and having their own names as their .com, I mean, I think that's a celebration in its own right. So thank you very much for joining us today at the She Means Business Scotland show. See you next week at 12:30 again live, where we're going to be doing Instagram stories training. And then the following week, we'll have another set of fantastic guests for you to enjoy and ask all the questions for. And any other relevant information, please feel free to drop it in the comments below. We'll still catch up on any of the questions and make sure that the speakers all get to see that as well for you. Okay, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll see you next week at the same time. Good night, goodbye, good afternoon. Cheers.